Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to cover something today that I thought was really important. There is a sheriff, Sheriff Richard Jones from Butler County, Ohio, who did a press conference recently warning that he met with the FBI and they were warning him of an imminent Chinese cyber attack. This got me thinking of Klaus Schwab, Cyber Polygon, and many of the things we've talked about, like EMPs, since going back to 2018. I mean, for crying out loud. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're not going to play the entire press conference, but I will play a couple clips of it for you guys, and then we're going to talk about some of this and unpack what I think is very concerning rhetoric. Okay,
We'll start out with, my name is Rick Jones. I'm the Butler County Sheriff, Butler County, Ohio.
Okay, so I'm going to fast forward his little introduction here to where he actually talks about what happened. So just to give you the rundown, about a week or so, maybe a week ago, maybe a little less than a week ago, Christopher Wray met with a group of sheriffs in Washington, D.C. This is a sheriffs association, so there's around 3,000, a little more than 3,000 sheriffs in the association, and he was warning them that there are, quote, more red flags than there were preceding 9/11, and he's warning of an inevitable cyber attack on local and national elections. And so this set off alarm bells for me as soon as I heard it. He goes on to say in this press conference that Biden is refusing to meet not only with sheriffs from this association, any of the sheriffs nationwide, but any of the police chiefs. He says that Christopher Wray has told the Sheriff's Association that there are more red flags occurring now than before 9/11. He says, quote, when I say red flags, I mean people that are here in this country that are wanting to do us harm. Quote, some are coming here to do harm to us, and we're told by the FBI director that this is not a matter of if, it's simply a matter of when. He went on to say, I can't tell you everything, but I want the public to know that we are in a terrible way right now. He says, we have no offense, just defense. We're absorbing these attacks, and in other countries, we're supplying them with weapons, our money, and we're not doing much in America. They're going to attack our elections, all of them, the local and national elections. Officials are being warned to prepare for these cyber attacks. Now, he also went on to tell civilians that they are under attack, and he said that they need to start training in preparation of the election. He claims that in this press conference that the Chinese try to hack 5 times a day into Butler County systems that handle their dispatching for police and fire, as well as cyber and grid systems. He says 3 times a day, the Iranians are attacking Butler County systems. He claimed that they're trying to do the same with these upcoming elections. He says that all officers are being given a go bag. He says that Butler County is going to start training civilians on what to do in a disaster situation or when an emergency hits. And he says that the federal government is going to be paying for that. He said, I don't want to cause fear or panic, but I want the public to know. He says the Chinese are flying over with their little balloons, and all we're doing is we're on defense. And so I find that concerning for a number of reasons, because not only did we see a lot of the war game simulations of some kind of cyber event with Cyber Polygon and Klaus Schwab, his event for the World Economic Forum, we'll talk about that. But it is interesting as far as you're not allowed to question the integrity of certain events, but now here they are doing just that. So let's go ahead and play a little bit of this.
300 sheriffs in the United States. We have a vice president. President of the United States refuses to meet with the sheriffs. He also refuses to meet with the police chiefs of the United States. They have a hierarchy also. He refuses to meet with them to talk about border issues or talk about crime that's going on because of the border issue. We were also told by Mr. Wray, the FBI director, that there are more red flags going off now than before 9/11. Okay?
Now, I want everyone to recall, too, what we learned from Vault 7 from WikiLeaks about the CIA's ability to leave false attributions, false signs of foreign attribution to their hacks. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying that it's happening. I'm saying, though, it certainly is a possibility, isn't it? We certainly know, for example, that they have the capacity and the capability to do that.
When I say red flags, meaning people that are here in this country that are wanting to do harm to us. We were also explained we're bombing 2 countries right now. 2 countries. These people do not like us before this started. There's thousands of people here from other countries, 160 different countries. They're here not to be our friends. Some of them are coming because they're wanting to come here to the best country in the world, the way we see it. Some are coming here to do harm to us. And we were told by the FBI director, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. We were also told 5 sheriffs went to Israel 5 weeks after the attack.
Now, why did that happen? Who arranged that trip? Was this a propaganda trip? I'm just saying, guys.
The only thing that saved the Israelis, the government, was the local police. They were outgunned,
I could believe.
outmanned. They came over.
Okay, so let's move on to some of the other things he talks about here.
They're coming here. The federal government's paying for it. They're going to train 30 civilians on what to do when disaster hits. 30 out of 400,000 people is not much. So we're trying to get more classes. Don't want to cause fear, don't want to cause panic, but I want the public to be aware that you are under attack. And when they're attacking, they're trying to get our cyber system. We have a grid system. Butler County does, the whole United States. Hell, our grid system goes out when it gets hot. So
that's pretty disturbing, but he talks about too how a lot of our grid, our infrastructure's old. It's not up to date. Some of this goes back to the 60s, and so he's saying that our grid is particularly vulnerable. That's something that has been warned about for a long time, especially the risk, the EMP risk. Could you imagine what would happen if an EMP went off over America, and took out the entire grid? All the communication system, like hospitals wouldn't function. There would be a lot of crazy things that would happen, and very quickly society would fall apart. You'd be surprised. So that is particularly concerning. And we've seen also this sort of like, I don't know if you want to call it predictive programming, but we've seen these films coming out that are kind of like positing some kind of cyber event or something happens that, causes craziness. In fact, wasn't the recent Netflix movie by the Obamas like a very similar scenario? If you guys know, let me know in the comments.
And our grid system is from the 1960s. And they're trying to attack our phone system. The Chinese are flying over with their little balloons. That's not to help us and help us do some weather direction. And all we're doing is we're on the defense. We're absorbing this. And these other countries that are attacking us overseas, it's a lot of drone attacks. Getting to drones. You know the technology that local law enforcement has on drones? Zero. We can fly drones, and most police departments and sheriff's offices have drones. We can't detect drones. Hell, they look like a bird in the sky.
That's very concerning too. He's saying like local law enforcement doesn't have the capability to detect drones being flown over. I find that kind of crazy.
We can't make the drones stop. We can't stop them. When you see football games on TV, the national football games, they call timeout to stop the drones. Hell, My grandkids have drones. Everybody has drones. We have no technology. The federal government doesn't share any of the drone technology with us. So what we're going to do is we're reaching out to the private industry, and we're going to see if we can get anything that can detect drones and how we can stop drones. Now,
I think honestly, that's something more law enforcement should be doing. I mean, ostensibly, they're supposed to be protecting Americans. That's what the FBI claims they're supposed to do. They call themselves a law enforcement agency. We know they're now a domestic intelligence agency, but you would think that that'd be part of their list of priorities.
again, it's not to scare people.
But, you know, they're too busy going after grandmothers that took a guided tour through a building on a certain day.
This is the truth. Everybody in this room, the news media, you guys get hacked. They try to hack you. One of the local channels in Cincinnati was hacked. They were down to paper for several weeks. Just paper. When we were hacked, we were down to paper. Our computer system, our dispatcher, all hacked. Again, that's being attacked by foreign countries.
Now, these breaches have been occurring for a long time. I have talked about this incessantly. I've complained about, you know, this push to digitize everybody's health information, because that information, of course, can be hacked, and then it gets stolen. It gets stolen and sold to third parties on the black market. It goes to data brokers. Then data brokers can purchase this information about you. These data breaches occur all the time, and they're not always reported on because sometimes the information is never released, right? The hackers obtain it. They hold that information for ransom. Sometimes people choose to pay the ransom so that nobody knows that their systems, number one, were vulnerable and weak, but they were also penetrated.
Do anything with drones. We have drones, but we're going to. And we're going to do everything we can to protect our community, to keep our life squads, our fire, our dispatching. If you've ever lost your phone or your battery goes dead, everybody freaks out. Imagine if you can't use your cell. Now, again, they're getting into our cyber, and that's what our country, you can't pump gas without electricity. You can't pump water without electricity. So, they're doing this to us. These are the three things that I'm going to ask these state representatives. I've been in communication with them. You can reach out to them. They'll be waiting for the call.
So it's almost like perhaps they're doing, they're doing predictive programming for something like this to happen.
FBI Director Christopher Wray sounding the alarm.
Here we go. He's giving his warning to Congress. This is Christopher Wray warning the same thing.
Over China. Let's listen.
That threaten American safety and prosperity. Before I go on, I do want to make very clear that my
Okay, so he's going to give his silly
conspiracy hackers
PC
are targeting
first.
our critical infrastructure, our water treatment plants, our electrical grid, our oil and natural gas pipelines, our transportation systems, and the risk that poses to every American requires our attention now.
So then why is it a priority then for you to go after people who were involved in, let's just say, a 4-hour disturbance 3 years ago? Why is that the biggest thing that your agency is focused on right now? According to them, one of the biggest investigations in the history of the FBI, in fact, in the history of the FBI, is that. So he goes on to claim, and what this really was about is the FBI wants more money. They've been largely discredited. Everybody knows the kinds of horrible things that they're doing. So now they've got to have these constant threats, right? Because he's asking for a bigger budget, and he's complaining that the Chinese, for every one FBI agent here in America, the Chinese have 50 people. So then why is your department not focused on that? Why is your entire department focused on going after Americans that were involved in a 4-hour disturbance, sir?
China's hackers are positioning on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to American citizens and communities if and when China decides the time has come to strike.
Now, he talked about how in some of these systems, they sat there for 5 years doing nothing. They had penetrated the systems just sitting in there waiting.
Made vastly more dangerous by the way they knit cyber into a whole of government campaign against us.
He's talked about how they've also gone after intellectual property, etc., etc. He's going to ask for more money.
And network exploitation against critical infrastructure like our communications, energy, transportation, and water sectors. Steps China was taking, in other words, to find and prepare to destroy or degrade the civilian critical infrastructure that keeps us safe and prosperous.
And so you need to give us more money so we can keep you safe from the bad guys.
Insufficient attention.
Okay, so everybody knows Klaus Schwab.
To the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply.
So just imagine, right? And when you listen to him talking about this, he doesn't even try to sound like he's not excited about it, you know? Like, when you listen to him talking about this, you know, this scenario that could happen, he sounds like elated. Does he not? Can you not hear that in his voice?
Transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack.
Okay, so that's nice. That's nice and disturbing. Now, let's move on. I want to bring up this because I thought it was a very good point. Larry Scott says if you knew your own government and others were going to attack their own cyber infrastructure, but blame it on other entities using sophisticated copycat technology, would you have leaked it or not? And then he's got my video here on the sentencing of Vault 7 alleged leaker Joshua Schulte. I thought that was a very good comment. I thought this was a good comment as well. Cyber Polygon is the last resort. Ian says, I see Cyber Polygon more and more as a way for globalists to capitalize on the opportunity that this natural escalation of cyber warfare will present. The cyber war is real. They want to use it to shift more towards totalitarian technocratic control for their own gain. I think that's absolutely true. They're going to say, look how insecure our systems are. We need something new where we have even more control that is, you know, run by AI or whatever. Just putting this out here. This is from literally a week ago. And I wanted to bring up this article from Unlimited Hangout from Event 201 to Cyber Polygon, the WEF simulation of a coming, quote, cyber pandemic. Yeah, isn't that nice? Last year, the WEF teamed up with the Russian government and global banks to run a high-profile cyber attack simulation that targeted the financial industry, an actual event that would pave the way for a reset of the global economy. The simulation, named Cyber Polygon, may have been more than a typical planning exercise and bears similarities to the WEF-sponsored simulation Event 201 that preceded briefly the C-19 crisis. This is an article from 2021. That was how long ago the Cyber Polygon simulation was conducted. And so it doesn't even have to be on the global financial system. It could be, you know, on anything else. Yeah, simulating a supply chain cyber attack. On Wednesday, the WEF, along with Russia's Sberbank and cybersecurity subsidiary Bizone, announced a new global cyber attack simulation would take place to instruct participants in, quote, developing secure ecosystems by simulating a supply chain cyber attack similar to the recent SolarWinds hack that would assess the cyber resilience of the exercise participants. Yeah. On the event website, the simulation, called Cyber Polygon, ominously warns that given the digitization trends largely spurred by the C-19 crisis, quote, a single vulnerable link is enough to bring down the entire system, just like the domino effect, adding that, quote, a secure approach to digital development today will determine the future of humanity for decades to come. So I find that kind of talk concerning, and I find it especially concerning in light of everything that's going on now. That was from, again, 2021, that warning. And now we have this sheriff coming out and saying that this is what the FBI is saying, and Christopher Wray himself testifying about this. So it seems to me, and this is just me, I'd like to know what you guys think as well, but perhaps they're doing the predictive programming for something that's coming, and maybe even very soon. We've seen people talking about black swan events. Catherine Herridge, the CBS journalist, that was something that she mentioned in her predictions for 2024. And Catherine's a very smart and well-connected individual, so I thought that that was kind of concerning. But that's all for now. I'm interested to know what you guys think of this.